Hey everybody, welcome to the weekend edition of Sports Frenzy 2.0. I am the Maestro, Kevin Crane.
I am the Conquistador, Dave Height.
We're taping here on the 30th of March, 2022. As always, this will hit just in time to get you locked and loaded for your weekend. Saturday morning, the 2nd of April, 2022. We have to start off, of course, as always, with music, and in this case, on a somber note, as we have to discuss, reflect, and reminisce about the tragic passing of Foo Fighters drummer Taylor Hawkins.
Gone way too soon, and by all accounts, stupidly.
Yeah, unfortunately. Now,
early toxicology reports.
And it's coming from Colombia, Bogota, Colombia, so I don't know.
Take it with a grain of salt.
But 10 different substances floating around in his body at the time of death, an enlarged heart. I just hate to hear this one, especially he's got 3 kids and a wife at home.
Yeah.
Millions of rock and roll fans like us who loved him and adored him and what he did with the Foo Fighters.
The number 2 man of the group behind Dave Grohl.
Yeah. So for a few minutes here, you'll have to indulge us. Dave and I are going to reminisce and talk about, we've seen the Foo Fighters twice. Unfortunately, my daughter, 20 years old, I've tried to get her in to see them at various points over the last few years. And of course, COVID did not help.
The 1 year they were only doing walk-up sales at venues, old school, yeah, so we weren't able to do it.
Yeah, that was about 6 years ago, I think, where you had to actually, we would have had to actually drive down 2 hours to Indianapolis
to wait in line.
Which we were not going to do. Sorry, we're diehards, but we're not that much of a diehard. Yeah. We got lives, we got jobs, we got families.
Yeah. We had tickets in 2020, and that got canceled because of COVID. And so rescheduled concert for this year. We had tickets lined up, ready to go. Alas, it was not to be.
Yep, sold out show at what we like to call Deer Creek, Ruoff Music Center outside of Indianapolis. One of their favorite places by all accounts to play. Yes, some of you Hollywood types, you East Coast snobs, you West Coast snobs.
The heartland is where it's at.
Dave Matthews Band, Foo Fighters love playing the Ruoff Center outside of Indianapolis, an open air venue, because the fans are passionate, like Dave and I, Mrs. C, the protege, your boys. Passionate rock and roll fans live in the Midwest. That's why the Foo Fighters love playing there. That's why many, many bands year after year come to the Midwest, come to Indianapolis. Dave and I were lucky enough to see the Foo Fighters twice at 2 different Indianapolis venues. The first one, it was boys' night out, just you and I.
Yep, the Skin and Bones tour at the old Market Square Arena.
And it was one of the best shows I've ever seen in my life.
It was phenomenal. We were at the back, 10 rows up.
But they were still good seats.
They were lower deck, good seats, lower deck. And damned if we weren't lucky enough. They had the second acoustic stage. All the instruments came down from the ceiling. They walked back. And they were within 25 yards, 20 yards. The way it was set up, I mean, we couldn't have asked for better. And Grohl comes back there. He goes, "You guys thought you had bad seats, didn't you, fuckers?"
Yeah, they played 3 or 4 songs from that stage, that small round acoustic stage back there near us.
Yeah. Oh my God, it was incredible.
Yeah. Now the second time we saw them was probably about 3-4 years ago. Probably the last tour before COVID hit.
Yeah.
When the Struts opened for them, and I know Mrs. C loved the Struts. Of course, Taylor Hawkins came out and sang Bohemian Rhapsody, right? Was it Bohemian Rhapsody?
Under Pressure.
Under Pressure. I am sorry. Under Pressure.
Under Pressure.
I knew it was a Queen song.
Under Pressure was the one he liked to come out and sing.
Okay.
And put Grohl back behind the drums.
Right. And he sang that with the lead singer of the Struts.
Yep.
My apologies. I knew it was a Queen song, though. But we were farther back for that. We had lawn seats
for that one. That's all we could get.
Yep, and we had lawn seats for this one that was supposed to happen later on this summer. Selfishly, it sucks for us, as we've tried and tried. We always try to see the best bands every chance we can.
Yep. Just thoughts and prayers to Hawkins' family and friends, the Foo Fighters themselves. That's got to be tough to deal with right now.
Yep. And nobody knows what the future holds for the Foo Fighters. I don't know. Could I see Dave Grohl starting another band and just disbanding the Foo Fighters? Yes and no. Could I see him going back behind the drums full time? I don't know about that.
No, I don't know if he would do that.
But I don't know if you can go on with the Foo Fighters without Taylor Hawkins back there on drums. That's tough.
It's a tough call.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of thinking to do.
And of course, we hope they take all the time they need. Again,
sure.
We're being selfish in that we're mad we don't get to see them, but at the same time, of course, we understand.
Fully understand.
If we don't hear from the Foo Fighters for another 2 or 3 years, then so be it. It's the way it is.
Get your head right.
Yep. So, of course, that being said, we move on to the business of the music that just came out recently.
And I think we have to go with the album review first before the singles as we carry on. Dream Widow off the album, which is the Foo Fighters doing true on hardcore metal from the Studio 666.
Right. And nobody really went to see the movie, which is a shame. I didn't get to go see it. I will definitely check it out once it hits video. But the background is the Foo Fighters go in to record their last album, Medicine at Midnight, in a spooky old mansion. And of course, they find these old masters, these old tapes of this band called Dream Widow. And if you listen to the Dream Widow album, then you become a homicidal possessed maniac.
And listening to these 8 songs, I can understand why.
Well, we reviewed the first single off the album, March of the Insane, and I was initially kind of a little bit, I showed trepidation, I have to admit.
This is not your full-on genre.
Now, that being said, I got into it. I actually kind of liked it by the time I'd listened to it.
March of the Insane.
The whole album.
Thing.
Well, again, it's an EP, but I don't know how a 40-minute plus 8-song EP, it's an LP to me.
It is.
The classic Van Halen albums were barely over half an hour.
Right.
So how is this not an LP?
I know.
I'm looking at this as an album.
It's crazy. I'm surprised you enjoyed it as much as you did.
I just got into it. I don't know why, but I got into it more. Now, I did not like... We talked about rumors that there was a 15-minute instrumental. It's only 10 minutes. The very last song.
Oh my God.
Lacrimas de Ebrius.
Yeah. That was too much. That was way too much.
Like I said, I heard that was supposed to be 15 minutes initially.
Yeah. Well, it just felt like 15 minutes. No, that was way too much.
No, you've really got to boil this down. Maybe this is why they're calling it an EP. Is that if you go from track 2, you go Cold all the way through to Come All Ye Unfaithful. So you go track 2 through track 6.
Then
that is an EP. That's what they should have done for an EP. That should
They
have been a
should have
5-song
left.
EP.
They should have left Encino and Locrinius.
I didn't even like Becoming. 7. I didn't like that
Becoming
either.
was kind of lame.
But
Yeah.
if you take Cold through Come All Ye Unfaithful, that was good stuff.
That was really good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really enjoyed Cold.
Yep.
And the Sweet Abyss.
I
The
did too.
Sweet Abyss was very Alice in Chains reminiscent.
See, this is going to be fun because I have all these influences written down for the songs I liked where I could hear other bands. So you heard Alice in Chains.
Yeah, I heard that guitar.
I heard Slash.
Really?
Yes, especially at the end. Especially at the end on the Sweet Abyss.
Coming into the beginning of Sweet Abyss, I felt it was more Alice in Chains.
The more I listened to March of the Insane, the more I thought it was Judas Priest.
It did have that to it.
Now, the Metallica vibe is kind of throughout the whole thing, but I thought Come All Ye Unfaithful was the most...
That was the most Metallica-esque.
Yes.
But throughout, you could still pick up the Foo vibe in them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Completely.
Yeah.
There was no denying
right.
their stamp on it. But you had the homage to everything else that you could pick up bits and pieces out of.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and I think, like you said, there's grunge in there. To me, Cold, a lot of it, especially his vocal changes, reminded me of Scott Weiland from STP.
Yeah.
I did, again, I turned on this after hearing March of the Insane. Initially, I was like,
your trepidation.
Your fair assessment would be the Maestro ain't going to like this. I ended up liking it more than I thought I would. I will give it 2.5 frenzies.
That's where I'm at with it.
If we could pare down the beginning and the end,
it would
just go with that
3.
middle. The meat in the middle is really good.
Yeah. I would give it up 3 if you took out Encino, Becoming, and Locrinius.
Yeah. I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. And again, very odd, weird, but yet appropriate that we review, Dream Widow right after Taylor Hawkins passed away.
Now are we going to have the Studio 666 curse?
Well, there's people that are saying not just Studio 666, but it's Dave Grohl because of Kurt Cobain.
I'm not going there.
They're saying Kurt Cobain killed himself. Grohl was in that band. Now Taylor Hawkins dies. He was in the Foo Fighters. I'm not saying it.
People are idiots.
Studio 666 vibe is very interesting, though. A curse, given the fact.
This is cursed. That is cursed. Everything is cursed.
Given the fact that the digital EP that we just reviewed came out within, I think, 8 hours of his death.
Yeah, I know.
Very interesting. I don't subscribe. I'm not condoning.
Just something to think about.
Yep. But yeah, Dream Widow is an interesting little diversion for the Foo Fighters.
Yep. It's worth checking out, kids.
Yep. And like Dave said, you will, even if it comes off like it did to me, very, very, very hard at first, you will be able to pull those Foo Fighters moments, those Foo Fighters melodies, nuggets out of this album.
Yep.
Like I did.
It's there.
Yep.
It is there.
So we have, you want to do music news first or go into the singles?
Oh, let's just knock out the singles and then hit the news.
All right. First release off the upcoming Def Leppard album, Diamond Star Halos, is Kick.
This one, I wasn't sure how to react to it first. I don't know. I still don't know after a couple of listens. It may take a little bit more.
I think you and I are, again, simpatico. It's very hard to judge because on the surface you want to say, oh, geez, it's Def Leppard being Def Leppard.
Yeah, they're going...
But it's still catchy. It's still got... It pushes all the buttons, checks all the boxes.
It does. And I don't know if that's the problem I had with it.
And I would not argue with you on that. I think maybe I was in a good mood this week when it came to music. I'll go ahead and give it 3.
I was going to go more a high 2.5.
I was going
week
there.
2.5.
But like I said, I listened to it a couple more times today.
So
I'm going 3.
I just don't know yet. I may have to listen to it more than a couple of times that I did.
And here in a couple minutes, we'll talk about context. So who knows in context
with the album,
with the entire album, how it works in, how it meshes.
Yeah.
I
liked it, but I didn't. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course.
So
yeah, we can go back to Bryan Adams last week.
Yeah.
It was Bryan Adams.
We liked it, but it had its weak points.
Yeah. These artists, when they redo the same formula over and over and over again, for better or for worse, it's like comfort food. It's like your best favorite TV dinner. Wow,
sometimes it tastes better than others.
You still should have gone out to eat at a restaurant.
Yeah.
Instead of the Boston Market meatloaf.
How many times can you have the Salisbury steak and mashed potatoes?
There you go. Yep. Very good analogy. Very good. I will go with the Black Moods next.
Saturday night.
One of our guilty pleasure bands.
Yes.
Not many people out there know about the Black Moods, but of course we do. We've seen them live. They were awesome. If it wasn't
Phenomenal.
for Mr. and Mrs. Patchouli Stink ruining our show.
That would have been one
along
of the
with
epic
Roger
nights.
Klein and the Peacemakers.
Yeah.
One of the better shows we've seen. Second release off their upcoming album, which I did verify is coming out this summer.
Looking forward to it.
Yep. Again, I was in a really good mood when I was rating our songs for this week.
This one I really got into.
Yeah. I again, like Kick, I bumped it up. I was initially going to go strong 2.5. I'll go 3.
I'm sitting at a 3 with this one. I got into this one. It had that fun, poppy little retro vibe going to it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And as always, anytime we talk about the Black Moods, I will tell you kids, get out there and listen to them.
Listen to the Black Moods before you listen to the Black Keys. Trust us on this.
There you go. Last week we reviewed the Black Keys. Much more favorable of you for the Black Moods.
Black Moods, so much better.
Go listen to Black Crows. Black Oak, Arkansas. Jim Dandy.
Go, Jim Dandy, go!
Anybody younger than 60 out there, who the hell are they talking about? Jim Dandy to the rescue. That's why we are students, connoisseurs of rock and roll, and you're not.
Watch the original Overboard with Goldie Hawn
and
Kurt Russell.
Yeah, this is when we have fun. Dave and I just have fun. The weekend edition is where we always let loose. We're already like 3 or 4 beers in, so
that's right. We're enjoying life.
We did the serious stuff early on for the regular Sports Frenzy.
Now it's fun time.
Yeah.
All right. Aldo Nova.
The King of Deceit. Now, this song, of course, this Friday, this episode will actually hit the day after the EP, Life and Times of Eddie Gage, this rock opera he's been working on forever.
Yeah.
He says it's a preview, it's not the full thing. He's been working on this for over a decade. The King of Deceit here.
Man.
This song seems like it's part of a rock opera.
Exactly.
As opposed to some of the other stuff we've listened to already, where they stand alone
Yeah.
as straight on rock songs. This feels like
has to be part of an overall work.
Right. So again, like we were talking about earlier, I'm going to be interested to see where this fits in the overall
full context of,
because a standalone, it's not bad, but it's not great.
It's got that lullaby feel to it.
Right.
It's just kind of maybe this is the beginning leading up to the fat lady singing. Let's put it that way.
Well, of course, it has that feel of that classic Crossroad Demons, Sell My Soul for Rock and Roll type thing.
Don't believe anything I say.
Yep.
I'll tell you everything you want to hear.
Yep. And again, I admire the ambition.
But man,
you don't get a lot of his guitar work until the very end at the last 10, 15 seconds.
Yeah.
So it's not a typical Aldo Nova song. Again, it seems like it's it feels like a part sliced out of this rock opera.
Yeah.
It can't necessarily stand on its own. It's not terrible. I'll give it 2.5.
That's where I was at with it as well.
2.5 frenzies.
I want to hear more to see where we're at.
And of course, that should be coming up here in a week or two on Sports Frenzy.
Yep.
Finally, and I know it might not be Dave's cup of tea, but I love The Fixx. So I keep telling him every time they release a new single, the third single off their upcoming album, Every 5 Seconds, is Closer. Now, the thing I liked about this song, I don't know if you got it, the lyrics are great.
The lyrics were phenomenal. I really enjoyed
Dark,
this one.
Ripping on society, ripping on our culture.
Yep.
The irony, the sarcasm of, oh, you go on Twitter, you go on Facebook. I'm paraphrasing.
Blah, blah, blah.
But in the end, he says, don't you feel closer? Don't you feel closer to other people?
Yeah.
Saying, no, you don't.
No, you don't. Because
everything that's supposed to bring us closer is tearing us apart.
Yep. No, I love the lyrics. The music to it was great.
Yeah,
this one is a solid 3.
Agreed. Yeah, I give it 3 as well. I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah, this one of what we've heard from off of this album so far is my favorite.
Yep. So we got a couple months to go before the full album comes out. We've got 3 songs in, and I'm looking forward to it. But again, I said that about Tears for Fears. I said that about Bryan Adams because these bands are putting out their best stuff first. So,
yep, we'll see what we get.
Hopefully
there's
somebody
something
here
left in the
at some
tank.
point in time, figures out 10 or 11, 12 songs, all good, solid album. So maybe The Fixx will be able to pull it off.
We can hope.
All right. Aerosmith is going to play live again. However, right now it's only in Las Vegas.
Are they doing a residency?
Yes, they are doing a residency. A sporadic one. I think it goes from late summer all the way through to early January, where they take little time off in between. Here's the thing, though, because I've been skeptical. Aerosmith has just acted like they don't really want to play again, or they have the friction, of course.
Yeah, between everybody.
Joey Kramer will not be playing with them in Las Vegas, their drummer, of course. This is one of the few bands that has basically stayed together for the most part for decades and decades, with, of course, a few
little hiccups
exceptions
here and there. Yeah. But they've pretty much all have come back time and again.
Yeah, but Joey Kramer and Aerosmith have had some issues over the past couple years. And now he has said, I will not be playing at this residency stay in Vegas. So I wonder if they will do a farewell tour. I got to believe they will, because the money would just be too good to turn away.
It would, and I can see them kind of going a little above normal price for a farewell.
Yeah, I can see that. We've seen them, so
I'm good. I do not need to see them on a farewell.
Yeah.
I think we got them on a really good night.
Yep, I've seen them twice. First time was they were miserable. Second time, luckily, we saw them with living color. They were phenomenal.
Yeah, let's go out on a positive note.
Yep. Speaking of farewell shows, we did not get to see Genesis on their final tour. We had seen them before.
Yes.
The previous tour where they did not know if they would go back out on the road again back in 2007, I believe. We saw them in Cleveland.
Yeah. Yep.
Saw them in Cleveland, made a weekend of it, saw the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The only time I've been out there.
Great show.
Yeah, but March the 26th in London at the O2 Arena. Looks like it is the last Genesis show.
Yep.
Of course, Phil Collins looks rough. He has health issues. So this is one farewell tour where I believe this is the farewell tour.
I think this is it. I don't know that Phil would be able to tour again.
Yep. One little cool thing about this show. Usually I kind of look at this guy kind of like as a snob, a jackass. It's kind of cool. Peter Gabriel went to the show. He was in the audience.
Really?
Took pictures with Phil backstage after the show.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Kind of interesting to see somebody who I usually think of as a haughty-taughty celebrity, Hollywood douchebag type, actually coming in to watch the more successful version of Genesis than when he was in the band. Kind of did the classy thing. So good for him.
Good for him. I'm impressed.
Yep.
Got some respect for Mr. Gabriel for that.
Yeah, there's some cool pictures of him with Phil, and then they brought in another guy from their past. I think he was an old tour manager from the 70s. Yeah. Did a lot of good pictures backstage with those. Of course, Gabriel doesn't look like he looks constipated. He doesn't look like he's having a good time, but at least he made the effort.
Right.
He made the effort. So, all right, kids, a bittersweet music edition of the weekend edition of Sports Frenzy 2.0. Of course, Dave and I have more music to review next week.
Yep. I am going to throw one out there for you. Another one off the Black Moods upcoming. She Gets Out.
We already done that. We did that.
Did we did that one?
We did that. That was the first release. David!
I don't remember that.
That was the first release off the upcoming album. And I love that song.
It's good.
I love that song.
That's why it sounded so familiar.
It's okay.
It's been one of those weekends.
It's okay. You actually caught me off guard. I did not remember that we agreed to review Dream Widow. Luckily, I had listened to it in preparation for next week, so I was still good to go with that. We have to decide over the next 2 weeks. We will figure out which album. We've got the Red Hot Chili Peppers' Unlimited Love coming out Friday, April the 1st. We also have, of course, Aldo Nova, The Life and Times of Eddie Gage. So over the next 2 weeks, we will review those albums. We're just not sure what order yet.
I'm thinking we might want to go with the Chili Peppers because I think Aldo might take a couple of listens, being the rock opera that it is.
Very good call. The new Skid Row with their new lead singer. Album coming out this summer. First single, the title track, The Gang's All Here.
No, it's not. Not until Sebastian's there, damn it.
You know I agree with you 100%. But I've listened to the song. It's not bad. So
all right,
we'll give you that one coming up next week. And I'm going to have to do some digging on this, but we've talked about ZZ Top's got a live album coming out this summer. Supposedly floating out there in the Spotify ether is ZZ Top's version of Brown Sugar, which I would like to hear.
Ooh, that could be very interesting.
Yeah, so we'll put that on the agenda coming up here. Of course, kids, we still got to talk about the slap heard around the world. We've got to talk about the worst big budget movie of the last decade. We've got to talk about Wrestlemania. We have got to talk about so much crap.
I've got to tell you about Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Oh,
damn
no,
it.
I'm backing on that too. Yep. So we're all good, kids. Stay tuned. Segment 2 coming up in a sec. Hello, this is Will Smith. You might know me as the original Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. You might also know me from Bad Boys 1, Bad Boys 2, and Bad Boys for Life. And now you must also know me as an Academy Award-winning actor for King Richard. Also by now, you know there are 2 things I do not like people talking about in my presence. Namely, my open marriage and my wife's lack of hair. Well, now there is a 3rd thing you do not talk about in front of Will Smith. You do not talk about Sports Frenzy 2.0. My boys, Kev and Dave, will hit slap the sports world in Hollywood each and every week on Sports Frenzy 2.0 and the Weekend Edition on Spotify, Anchor, Google, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, Breaker, Apple, Overcast, Castbox, and Stitcher. Just remember, keep Sports Frenzy's name out your damn mouth.
Hi, kids! Welcome to the Rainbow Bright Podcast! April Fools, it's Sports Frenzy 2.0, the Weekend Edition. I'm the Conquistador, Dave Height.
I'm the Maestro, Kevin Crane.
Here we are, taping on March 30th. This hits Saturday, April 2nd. How could we not try something foolish on you?
Of course, for the regular Sports Frenzy, it's early, and for this one, it's going to be late.
Yeah.
we don't have anything going on April the 1st.
So we had to do something. All right. Movie segment.
Our follow-up from the review I started last week with Ghostbusters Afterlife. Now both of us have seen it.
Yes. Wow. That's all I can say. We had family movie night for it, and just wow.
I was scared to death that you would not like this as much as I did, because I just watched it and I got giddy, happy, melancholy,
oh my God. You
tears
right.
in my eyes.
Everything.
Pushed all the right buttons.
This was the fitting tribute to the original.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, they could not. I can't think of how they could have done it much better.
No, the kids were great.
The kids were phenomenal. The young girl.
Yep, McKenna Grace.
She was unbelievable.
So good as Spengler's granddaughter.
Yeah.
So good.
And then the reuniting of everybody at the end was very overpowering.
Yeah.
It was just so well done. It brought everything full circle to a conclusion. God.
And again, we don't want to give away too much. This has only been out for about 3 months, so
it's
to me,
still early-ish.
I try to be nice about this stuff. It's still early-ish. It's not 6 months, a year down the road.
Right. We don't want to give too much away, but
I usually am not a big fan of computer graphics.
This was
use computer graphics
well
in a way
done
to have a character play an integral, unbelievably heart-wrenching part in this movie.
Yeah.
That worked perfectly. And I was so glad they did it.
Yeah, this was the one time CGI was needed and worked to perfection.
Yep. And I think a lot of my initial negativity about this movie going in was, number one, the blasphemy of the previous movie, which I've never seen. I don't want to see.
Yeah. Well, that I discount that out of.
But number two,
everything.
The promotional campaigns, and I think I mentioned this last week, made Paul Rudd look like it was going to be him and a bunch of kids joking around and goofing around.
Yeah.
That is not what the movie is.
Not
Paul Rudd plays
a
very small part in this movie.
And the role he plays he plays it very well.
Oh yeah, he's great. He's great, but he plays. They put him on the posters for star power.
Right. But it wasn't needed.
It wasn't about him. It's about the kids. It's about, like Dave said, the nostalgia factor, going back to the original Ghostbusters.
It's
tying the past to the present
for a conclusion.
Right.
Yeah, the whole family was on the same page that it couldn't have been better.
Yep.
3.5.
Yep. Just like I gave it 3.5. It's, I don't know if it's a couple old guys and their families reminiscing and wishing for days gone by, but this just was fantastic. The emotions it brought up in me were almost like watching The Wizard of Oz for the first time. Just the overwhelming sense of awe and the feelings of wonder and everybody,
the
innocence,
what ifs, the regrets,
right? All of that. Just, I loved it. I did not think I would love it nearly as much as I did.
I was like you. I went in with trepidation, but came out like, holy crap, this was absolutely brilliant.
Yep. And again, we don't want to spoil too much for you, give away too much. Again, it's only been out since mid-December.
Yeah.
But yeah, go see it.
Reitman's kid did this beautifully.
Yep.
And co-writing it with Aykroyd, who worked with his dad on the original.
Yeah. There are so many moments that
where do you begin? I mean,
the kids get in trouble at one point and they're in jail, and the sheriff comes up. The girl says, I can get a phone call, right? He goes, who are you gonna call? And he just, anybody who was a fan of the original just
had to chuckle at that. No, this was so good.
Yep. Fantastic. This is the kind of movie that I wish Hollywood would put out more often. If you're gonna do a recycled, revamped, reboot,
do a continuation.
Do it like this.
Pay the tribute to the original the way this was done. I mean, it was just the perfect combination of who put it together.
Yep. This will technically, since it was released in 2021, this will go down as one of my top 5 movies of 2021.
Yes, by far. And remember, kids, if someone asks you if you're a god, you say yes.
Now we go from one of the greatest movies of the past year to one of the worst movies of the past decade. I promised it last week. It took me 2 weeks to get through it. I have to do a little backstory. Let's say this is Uncle Kev's story time. Since we're in a sentimental mood. A dearly departed friend of ours who left this earth way too soon a few years back. Neighbor of mine, friend of mine, it was the one that got me watching the Fast and the Furious movies. And I held off for the longest time. And I said, I really don't know if these movies are for me. I do like racing movies. Dave knows this.
Yep.
Even though he still chastises me every day because I still haven't watched Le Mans yet.
Killing me, Smalls.
But we've, of course, watched Ford versus Ferrari, some of the great, more recent racing movies, as well as some of the classics. But our friend, again, who passed away way too soon, like Taylor Hawkins, begged me. He said, you've got to start watching these Fast and Furious movies. This was probably about 5 years ago. And I got a hold of a cheap DVD set of the first, I believe, 6. And they sat there collecting dust for about another year. and he would bug me and he would say, "Why aren't you watching them?" Like, I gotta be in a certain mood. I've got to be in a mood. And then unfortunately he passed away, and I did end up watching them. I ended up going through all the Fast and Furious movies. Not necessarily, I'm not trying to be that sentimental. I didn't watch him as a tribute to him, but at some point in time after he passed, I figured it was time to watch him. I still haven't watched Hobbs and Shaw yet, which I guess I should be looking forward to that, since now it looks like that The Rock and Jason Statham are by far the most talented members of any of the actors in these movies.
With Hobbs and Shaw, like with the rest of it, the CGI can get a little carried away.
I don't think it's the CGI so much as it's the ridiculous ignorance of the laws of physics.
Well, you'll have that too in Hobbs and Shaw.
But initially watching, and this is one of those movies where I had to see feedback and verification. So I went out on IMDb to look at some of the reviews after I finished up watching F9, which is what I'm alluding to, of course, Fast and Furious 9. But they call it F9, the Fast Saga. Give me a break. It's Fast and Furious 9. Just call it what it is. Stop being pretentious, because
there's nothing pretentious about it.
There's nothing intellectual, brilliant, pretentious, stimulating about this movie. But I digress. So, getting back to story time. As you watch the first couple, and it's this motley crew of street racers, you kind of like it. You kind of get into it. It's fun. But then as they go through into 6 and 7 and 8, and next thing you know, they're battling submarines and they become secret agents. Now they're all on the level of gadgets and fighting with James Bond. Yet you put them all together in a room and you probably get the intellectual level of Pee Wee Herman. And it's just gone straight downhill, especially since Paul Walker died. And they do still pay tribute to him in every movie, which I appreciate. But yeah, the fact that you took these street racers from Fast and Furious and now you've turned them into super spies who can't die, which was probably the one thing about this movie that I found funny, was that Tyrese, probably the only guy in the movies now that I appreciate, because he's the only person that's got a sense of humor, early on in this says, "Have you ever noticed we don't die? We must be invincible. We're immortal." And I'm kind of like, he's making fun of the idiocy of these movies. He's the only one in the movie I liked. Everybody else is so stupid. The writing is so stupid. Vin Diesel and John Cena, we talked about how much he let himself go with the Peacemaker and kind of had fun with it.
Yeah.
He's just got a scowl on his face through this whole episode or this whole movie. And it feels like an episode because, of course, we're now going 10 deep.
Yeah, we're getting close.
And they're going to keep going now. I hear they're going 11. And I just, stop it.
You have truly jumped the shark with this series.
Thank you, because I was thinking that. I was thinking you not only jumped the shark, you jumped the barracuda, you jumped the orca, you jumped whatever.
You jumped over the freaking moon.
And the thing is, you look at this movie, and I'm just talking about this one, not going back. Guest appearances from Kurt Russell. Guest appearances from Helen Mirren. You know, really good, solid actors and actresses. And literally, I got done with this movie and I gave it a subtitle. This is F9, the Fast Saga. It's fun with magnets and outer space. Because, yes, Dave, they go into outer space.
Why do you think I said they jumped the moon?
They go into fucking outer space.
I know. It's a travesty.
But I should have known before that this movie was going to be abysmal. And I don't care if I'm spoiling. It's been out for a year. I'm spoiling this for you. At one point, Vin Diesel, Dom, gets rescued out of a sticky situation by what looks like a band of bodyguards who are going to take him somewhere and do awful things to him. And it turns out to be Cardi B and a bunch of women. Rip it. And Cardi B, if she has one brain cell in her fucking body, I would be shocked. She somehow pulled this off. Her and a bunch of hot women masquerading as bodyguards, fooling everybody, getting Dom into an armored vehicle, taking him away, and she rips her. What up, bro? What up? And at one point, there is a key piece of evidence that will help them later on that she passes to Dom. So he's got it. They don't even show her talking because she can't
speak
in any way, shape, or form. Would have been able to recite these lines with a camera on her face. They probably had to do them 15 times in a closed studio somewhere. While she's meanwhile looking at her nails, looking at her tits. Oh, look at how hot I am. Look at how... This is our society encapsulated. F9 is, unfortunately, our world. This is the world we live in. Stupidity, ignorance of science, ignorance of an intelligent script.
It's a straight out money grab at this point.
Because it made me laugh, I will give it one frenzy. But it did not make me laugh in a good way. It made me laugh in how fucking stupid it was. It was so bad.
How bad was it?
I will give it 1 instead of 0 for the sheer belly laughs it gave me when I sat there going, "You've got to be fucking kidding me." Which I believe Charlize Theron said at one point in the movie. Oh, how this franchise has gone so far over the edge is beyond
From
me.
being entertaining to a farce of its own self.
Insulting to the audience. Insulting. I mean, insulting in how stupid it is. Dude, we built a car that can go into outer space, man. Dude.
Sweet.
I think I would have enjoyed seeing Ashton Kutcher
and Sean Scott Williams.
Dude, where's my spaceship? And then the fact that these idiots are out there in outer space in a car with booster rockets on it, and they act like, "Oh, we're gonna die." Of course, they're not. Like Tyrese alluded to earlier, they're
immortal.
They're immortal. The space station picks them up. The International Space Station picks them up. And so 10 minutes later, they're bitching about, "I've been eating space food for 10 days. You are not eating space! You should have been dead 15 times over! You would not even gotten through the atmosphere! You would have died! Jesus! I mean, come on!
So what you're saying is you didn't really like it?
No! I don't know what I hated more, this movie or this bullshit about the Oscars with the slap, which we unfortunately have to talk about.
Yeah, I kind of guess we got to cover the Oscars, even though we were not part of the 16 million viewers for the second lowest ever after last year's, even though this year was 58% higher. Yeah, basically that was a little over 6 million viewers more than they had last year. Nobody cares about you pompous asshole Hollywood types.
If it wasn't for Will Smith slapping Chris Rock, this would have been the most boring Oscars ever.
Hey, what did Chris Rock have on his face Monday morning after the Oscars?
I don't know, Dave, what?
Fresh Prince.
See, it's good to have a joke about this because otherwise Hollywood has been taking this so seriously. I still think it's fake. I think I'm going to go with it's fake.
It was contrived to try and generate some buzz for an otherwise horrible night. Because let's face it, they didn't have the strongest of hosts.
They didn't talk about the hosts. They didn't talk about the movies. Nobody cared because, again, there's no Spider-Man. There's no James Bond. Two of the bigger moneymakers that actually could have been nominated.
For
Once
something,
again, they went with the pretentious stuff where it's always got to be a biography picture or a movie about disabled people.
Yep. So Best Picture was Coda, about the Deaf family.
Right. And this is a point. This is something, a lesson to be learned for Hollywood. I see this every year. And we talked about Power of the Dog for how long? 2 months?
Power of the Dog turd?
Yeah, for 2 months, right? The momentum it had, everybody's talking about it's going to sweep the Oscars. If you get early momentum, you're doomed.
Yep.
You're doomed.
Hosed.
Because a movie like Coda is going to sweep in the last month, and people are going to say, oh, what about that one? Yeah, let's take that one.
But no, Best Director still went to Jane Campion for Power of the Dog turd.
Yeah, I heard she and Sam Elliott are dating.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I know. I think that could happen in hell.
Oh,
God! But the reactions.
That's all my God! Hear about.
All I heard, the catchphrases, the typical PC catchphrases. Well, how do you look at Will Smith hitting Chris Rock? A lot of people's toxic masculinity. Oh, I love hearing this psychobabble crap from the Hollywood groups.
It's toxic masculinity because his wife doesn't need him to defend her. She's a strong woman on her own.
Yet she talks about her hair situation, which Chris Rock, of course, you people should know by now what the situation was. Yeah. She talks about it all the time on her podcast.
Yes, she's got alopecia. She's losing her hair. She shaves her head so it doesn't look
fine.
Bad. She looks fine. And I'm sorry, the G.I. Jane 2 movie reference was funny. Will Smith himself was laughing until he got the stink eye from his wife.
I still think it was staged. Because Will Smith is smirking when he walks away after clocking Chris Rock.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you've got all the people out there now going, this sets a bad precedent. Now people are going to attack comedians anywhere and everywhere. No, they're not. And now we hear there could be penalties coming for Will Smith from the Academy, but they're weeks away because they have to do a deep dive.
The official review based upon our bylaws and blah, blah, blah.
Why does this take weeks?
Because they're hoping it blows over and they don't have to deal with it.
You know they're not taking the Oscar away from him.
Well, no.
You know they're not. I don't even see them banning him from future.
No.
They talked about Roman Polanski. Well, Roman Polanski was accused of raping an underage girl.
Huge difference.
Big difference. They're going to laugh and giggle behind the scenes about how this is going to boost
We generated more buzz for the Oscars, so more people are going to tune in next year to see what else is going to happen.
Yep.
Guess what? Nobody's still going to watch your fucking awards show.
As long as you nominate these boring-ass movies.
And when you give away goodie bags that cost more than most people earn in a year and a half.
It just goes to show the gap is widening between Hollywood culture and regular middle America. I'm sorry to say it. And if you look at the box office revenues for these movies, they have to expand, of course. Now, they've been doing this for about a decade where they've gone past 5. It used to be just 5 movies nominated for Best Picture. Now they go anywhere from 7 to 10. They went the full 10 this year. You take away Dune, those movies made nothing. Those movies made nothing at the box office.
It's all pretentious crap.
Even Nightmare Alley, which we liked.
Never even got a sniff of anything.
Made $11 million at the box office.
Nothing.
King Richard, where Will Smith won for Best Actor, $15 million. Coda, I don't even think made
that was a
5.
streaming.
Power of the Dog, right? That was streaming. You have got to do something. This is your problem, Hollywood. Stop acting like we're so much smarter and so much better than the common person. Nominate some movies that people actually will see and will enjoy.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Really? You're going to give Best Actress to Jessica Chastain for Eyes of Tammy Faye? Who watched anything about Tammy Faye fucking Baker?
That was basically another streaming one. I think it was in the theaters for 2 weeks, and now it went to HBO Max.
Who gives a shit about Bakers?
That story is so old and so inconsequential now.
Nicole Kidman should have had it for
that one.
Ricardo's.
That one pissed me off. She
didn't
really
even
good.
get nominated, did she?
No, she did. Again, though, listen to the wise words of the maestro. Momentum. She had the momentum early on.
This
was
stupid
Power of the Dog.
Bullshit.
Nicole Kidman. And then it all went away. And then they said, no, Jessica Chastain has got the momentum
for
now.
A stupid ass, nobody gives a shit about the Bakers.
And then, of course, talking about the hosts, everybody who knows me knows I can't fucking stand Amy Schumer.
Oh, she is the
let
worst.
Alone her family, let alone her father. After the Will Smith slap, she pulled out 2 of the greatest snowflake terms. I am triggered and traumatized. He didn't hit you! He didn't hit you! Why are you triggered and traumatized? Nobody hit you! Chris Rock should be triggered and traumatized. And I guarantee he just said, all right. I heard the night after the Oscars, he had a concert. Ticket prices went up 10 times.
Just so people could hear what he would have to say about it.
Yeah. So Chris Rock's like, cha-ching, baby. Cha-ching, I'm making money. But no, Amy Schumer was triggered and traumatized. God, I fucking hate her. Oh.
Horrible, horrible, horrible.
All right, finally, to wrap up the movie segment.
All right. I have one issue, though. The red carpet after party attire of the actresses.
Oh, okay.
Don't sexualize me.
Oh.
So you wear almost nothing and everything's out there for everybody to see. Don't pull the Me Too bullshit and still go out and do this.
Yeah, your boobs hanging out. You know, that goes all the way back to Jennifer Lopez, where she had to actually have tape holding her dress together so her boobs
This stuff is fucking ridiculous.
I heard there was a nip slip with the Williams sisters. One of the Williams sisters had a Janet Jackson moment.
Well, there you go.
But I agree with you completely. You know I do.
I've always said that shit.
Don't play the Me Too movement. Don't whine and cry like
and
you
then
said.
Show yourselves all over the place.
Yes. 100% agree. We see that every week from Hollywood.
Yep.
Any award show, any movie premiere, that's what they do. Show as much leg, show as much boob, as much cleavage as you can, and then whine and cry about the sexualization of women.
And then I'm sure these slips are not slips.
I'm torn on this, Dave. I'm torn on this. I don't want to make fun of Bruce Willis because the news came out today that he is stepping away from acting because he has aphasia, which is basically
Kind of
a condition where it's not Alzheimer's, but
it's not dementia, but it diminishes the capacity. Usually it happens with head trauma or a stroke, but
right.
Still, that's tough.
But we've kind of made fun of him over the years now, and we love him because of Die Hard, and he was in so many great classic movies. But lately, we've joked about
Hudson
him
Hawk,
and Nicolas Cage.
will do
how they
anything.
seem to they're trying to evade the tax man.
Yeah.
So the Razzies. We talked about the Razzies in our regular Sports Frenzy episode with LeBron James winning Best Worst Actor.
Worst Actor, yeah.
The Razzies actually set up this year a category specifically worst performance by Bruce Willis in a 2021 movie. 8 nominations. The winner / loser was Cosmic Sin.
Wow.
But they had 8 Bruce Willis performances in a category all its own.
Wow, that's something special.
Sad but again, for Bruce. We hope he gets well.
We hope for the best for him.
But yeah,
he's one of our favorites. But
this whole Razzie thing was kind of funny.
It was. All right, streaming news and more coming up, kids.
Are you having trouble falling asleep behind the wheel of your expensive SUV? Are you finding difficulty in avoiding golf clubs thrown at you by your angry wife as you pull out of the driveway? Sign up today for the Tiger Woods Driving School, sponsored by Sports Frenzy 2.0. We'll show you how to text ladies of the night while still driving effectively in the wee hours of the morning. We'll also teach you how to ditch a suspicious backpack when you end up driving into a ditch. Check out Sports Frenzy 2.0 on Spotify, Google, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, for updates on our latest classes, including how to curse and swear in front of uptight golf fans and their children and still be adored by millions. The Tiger Woods Driving School. It's great! Hey everybody, time to wrap up the weekend edition. I'm the Maestro, Kevin Crane.
I'm the Conquistador, Dave Height, and it's streaming time, baby.
Dave is going to indulge me because it's WrestleMania weekend! The greatest weekend in sports entertainment is coming up upon us. When this hits, it'll be time to check out at noon. NXT Stand and Deliver. Then that evening will be WrestleMania Night 1. Then Sunday night, of course, WrestleMania Night 2, including the greatest WrestleMania match of all time. Unification match. Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, WWE Champion, Universal Champion. The belts will merge. Who will emerge triumphant? I said it on the regular Sports Frenzy podcast this week. Thank God I don't care about what's happening in the Final Four. I can now watch WrestleMania both nights unencumbered with any kind of feelings of sports guilt.
There you go.
And of course, I will have a full recap of WrestleMania for you next week.
Oh, God.
But here's the thing. I actually had a purpose in bringing this up. I'm not going to break down every WrestleMania match. I'm not doing that. But, as always, in this segment, we review what TV shows and series we've been watching. Peacock, last week, in time for WrestleMania, debuted a series called WWE Evil, an 8-episode series highlighting the greatest villains in WWE history. So I did watch that. I watched all 8 episodes. They're about 45, 50 minutes each, about normal length of time. It was great. It was phenomenal. I learned a lot. That's the thing. You learned about wrestling. Duh. Oh, you brain dead asshole. These are people. These are actually
You get behind
well-rehearsed actors, athletes who actually, if you listen to them, are a lot smarter than most of the idiots in Hollywood. They're more well-spoken, as I always try to tell my daughter time after time after time, and she still does it. Stop saying and like. These people are actors. They know how to recite lines. They know how to act in scenes. But there were some really interesting things that I did not know about some of these people, like Ric Flair, for one. The great Ric Flair, one of my favorites of all time. I did not realize he almost died in a plane crash.
Wow.
Private jet he was in with 3 other people, the pilot and 2 other promoters and wrestlers, lost engines, crashed into the ground. Pilot died. The other 2 were paralyzed. Ric Flair, multiple fractured vertebrae. But somehow he bounced back from it, became the greatest villain, in my opinion, in wrestling history. Very cool stuff. Those are the type of things. Those are the type of stories.
The backstories of the individuals.
Right. And I also like hearing about, because we know it's fake. Nobody, please tell me you don't know anybody who still thinks this is real, because it's not.
That's why it's entertainment.
But these people are still very, very
they're athletic as all hell.
Proficient athletes. And there are injuries involved. There was one scene with I actually watched a couple of the Broken Skull sessions to go along with this with Steve Austin, where he talked to Chris Jericho and he talked to Bret Hart, another couple of my favorite wrestlers.
Bret Hart's one of my favorites of all time.
Yep. When he talked to Jericho, they were playing footage of a ladder match he had with Shawn Michaels. The ladder gets pushed and it rotates on top of the ropes, smacks him in the face, breaks his tooth off. This stuff happens.
Yeah, it's unavoidable.
But going to Bret Hart, this is the other point I wanted to get to, is it's interesting to hear over the years who these wrestlers admire and listen to and who they hated and who they did not think. We're not talking about the in-ring personas. We're talking about in the locker rooms, who could actually do what they were supposed to do, who didn't go out to hurt people.
Right.
And over the years, I've heard the Ultimate Warrior was the worst ever to work with. Of course, we all know he was, abusing steroids.
Yeah, rage maniac.
But now this past weekend, between Evil and the Broken Skull sessions, listening to Bret Hart came out and said, Bill Goldberg, awful to wrestle with. Shawn Michaels, awful to wrestle with. Those two. And then later on in other episodes, other people were saying Shawn Michaels, Chris Jericho acted like Shawn Michaels was a god.
It all just depends on
now the one guy, I'll wrap
how
this
you
up
interact.
Here. I'll wrap this up. The one guy that all these people seem to respect and admire, and this was a guy who wrestled when I didn't watch. I watched 80s, early 90s, and then I've started watching again over the last 3 or 4 years. All these guys seem to have the utmost respect for The Undertaker. They say this guy was the
by
leader,
all accounts,
the leader in the backstage, the locker room. Really good guy to work with. Never had a problem with him. He would always back up people, even if it was against Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
Against the company.
Have you ever seen
Wrestling
the Andre the Giant bio?
I don't know if I've seen that. I thought you were going to go with Bret Hart, Wrestling with Shadows, which I did see.
No, the Andre the Giant biography.
I'll have to look for that.
Freaking believable.
Yeah. I don't know if I ever saw it. I don't know.
Oh, dude, I actually watched that one. Mrs. C watched it with me. She got sucked in. just his whole life story and all the stories around him, the respect everyone had for him. One wrestler, he tried to injure and get out of wrestling. He hated Big John Studd.
Wow. Okay.
That was the one
See,
guy.
that's what I'm talking about.
That was the one guy Andre the Giant could not stand. And Studd was so afraid of him. He didn't want to get anywhere near him, even in the locker room.
Did they say what Studd had done to piss off Andre so much?
He did. I don't recall offhand, but it was just kind of the way he carried himself and not respecting anything.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the stuff I really liked hearing in all these interviews. That was what I was trying to get at. Was I wanted to hear the interpersonal behind the scenes, who likes who gets along with who. That was the stuff that was the meat and potatoes of what I got out of this.
Yeah.
And Evil, I'll rate it. I'll give it a 3 frenzies. Some of the stories are really phenomenal. Some of them are eh.
Yeah.
Some of these people come off as the type of people you might actually like in real life. Even though I think Roman Reigns is the best wrestler out there right now, he comes off as an arrogant jackass. Ric Flair does too, honestly, but I think he's a little bit more humble than he used to be, being older now. Watching his daughter now in the business.
Yeah.
Stephanie McMahon was a really interesting one to see, since she's actually, the spoiled brat, rich daughter of Vince. But yeah, there were a lot of really interesting stories here in this Evil, because I love the villains. I love the heels. Nobody likes the baby faces.
No.
I hated Hulk Hogan when he was a baby face. But of course, now they have an episode in this
with
of him,
NWO
Hollywood, when he was Hollywood. And he's
Hollywood Hogan.
Yeah, that I was like, yeah, I'm down with that. I love the NWO. Love the NWO. So, and there are a lot of people that hated his guts too.
Oh yeah.
So.
Yep. Everybody had their fans and their heels, and
yep.
Some wrestlers were beloved by their fellows and others despised.
Yep. So, all right, we will take a break from wrestling for a week.
There we go.
Next week,
gear up, kids.
I will.
It will have
Wrestlemania.
It will
and then
have
I'll be
a
done.
segment of its own.
I'll be done after next week.
He'll have his own
until
segment.
Maybe SummerSlam.
All right, on streaming. Another one that I've begun. I've got so many that I've started, but I started The Witcher on Netflix, based on the book series and video game. Stars Henry Cavill as the lead. Actually, he pushed this one. He drives this whole series because he is such a fan of the books and a fan of the video games that I've heard stories of what he brings to the production, that he changes things to bring it more to the books and make it more real and true.
He told DC he did not want to be Superman if they put it down to a choice between him continuing as Superman or him doing The Witcher. He said, I'm doing The Witcher.
Yeah.
Yeah. He bailed on Superman to be in this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he is phenomenal in it. The story's okay. It's a sci-fi fantasy stuff. It's decent. It's worth watching to kill some time. I'll give you the full review after I get through the first 2 seasons. But not too bad. HBO Max has a series coming up that they're working on. A prequel for Stephen King's It. Welcome to Derry.
You thought you were going to surprise me with that, and I had that written in my notes.
You never know.
Well, I did not think that would be anything you'd even care about, because you're not a huge Stephen King guy.
No, but it is one of those that I've read And despite
God
the
bless you for that.
Oh my
Jesus.
God. I tell you, I got to about the 150 page point, and it was a slog to get through the next 75 pages, and then it gains some momentum. But he gets to that point where it bogs down and you just want to just say F it.
Every once in a while, you and I seem to have this conversation about Stephen King because, of course, he's one of the most prolific and famous authors of the last 40 years.
He's too damn verbose in his writing.
There are some books of his that you read and you're done with them and you go, that was phenomenal. A Pet Cemetery comes to mind.
Yeah. And
But
then
yeah,
some he gets so bogged down where he's describing a scene and it takes him 20 pages to get through the description.
That's why I always look forward more to his short story collections.
Yeah.
He's to me, he's easier to take in shorter doses than 1,000 pages.
Yeah, if he hits 1,000, you forget it.
Yeah.
It's got to be within 500 or less.
I agree completely. And we've talked about the TV stuff, the movies, and sometimes he comes off as kind of a whore in that, oh yeah, go ahead and redo The Shining for the 15th time. Go ahead.
Yeah.
As long as he's
going getting the money.
But the funny thing is, I know I mentioned to you on HBO Max, The Outsider, recently, a couple years ago. I think it hit HBO, and I watched it. It was phenomenal. I had a buddy of mine over the weekend text me or send me a quick email, and he was talking about things that he'd been watching. And he said he watched that too, and he agreed it's outstanding. So
you never know.
I would recommend watching The Outsider. Very cool series.
Nice. So we'll see what Welcome to Derry brings to the table.
Yeah, I'm not enamored with the It mythology per se. I mean, everybody hates clowns, scary clowns, but
clowns suck.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm thinking back. I know I watched the first movie. I can't even remember if I watched the second one. I don't know if I wasn't that impressed with the first one, to be honest with you.
The original?
No, I'm not going. No, I'm not doing TV miniseries. Not the Richard Thomas. No.
Okay.
No, I'm talking about the big budget, big hit movie.
Okay. See, I haven't watched either one. I read the book. I don't need to see it.
Yeah, no, the Tim Curry, Richard Thomas.
That drug. It was
the TV miniseries from decades and decades ago.
Yeah.
But the movies haven't done anything for me
justice.
Either. Yeah. Of course, we are both fans of 007, so they have decided to find a way to destroy 007. Even more so than No Time to Die did. Of course, Amazon bought MGM and the rights to basically James Bond. Are you ready for a James Bond reality competition series?
Oh, fuck me.
007's Road to a Million is coming to AZ Prime, as I like to call it, Amazon Prime.
No, so we don't need any more reality bullshit.
It sounds like it is
it's like
Amazing
Survivor.
Race. It's like the Amazing Race, except they're going to make them visit key spots from the James Bond movie mythology.
Oh, God.
And answer fun trivia questions and do stuff like that, Dave.
No!
Guess who's involved? The Broccolis. They approve this.
Oh, for God. Oh, money grubbing whores. No.
I knew the minute Amazon bought MGM and got the rights to James Bond, we were doomed.
My God. I would rather have an animated Young Bond series than this bullshit.
A reality competition series.
Oh my God, so damn stupid. So stupid. Do not watch this. Do not give it any ratings, please. I beg you, for the love of all that's holy. If you like James Bond, do not give in.
This is just so pathetic. So you know what's going to happen now if this is a hit?
It's gonna hit.
Disney Plus is gonna do some kind of Avengers competition.
Oh God. Oh God. Oh no.
Cell phones, social media, reality television, the three downfalls of society. They will write about it someday, just like the fall of the Roman Empire.
Ugh.
They will be, instead of showing Nero playing his fiddle while Rome burns, they will be showing you rubbing your head as America crumbles to bits and pieces. And they'll still be filming Fast and Furious 14 at that point.
Oh no, we're talking Fast and Furious 100. Oh God.
Oh, a couple other TV and streaming tidbits, and then we move on. For me personally, this is another show that I have mentioned that I think you should watch, but I'm not going to push it on you because I don't have enough to laugh at. I like a good comedy now because it's so rare. I still love the Goldbergs, even though they just had this controversy where they had to get rid of the dad because he was abusive off camera on set.
Yeah.
Looks like they are going to come back for season 10, which is cool because it's still good. I watch it still to this day, and I still find it fun to live my 80s nostalgic life
there
through them.
You go.
And it looks like one of my favorite unsung Marvel heroes could be coming soon. They're not sure if they're going to do a movie or a Disney Plus series, but I always loved Nova. I thought Nova was a badass. I thought Nova had one of the greatest outfits of all time. Richard Rider gets recruited, teenager pulled into the Nova Corps. So I'm looking forward to that.
We'll see if they do it right or if they screw it up like they did with Shang-Chi.
Yeah. Oh, God. And of course, Moon Knight, as we talked about off mic, starts this week. So I'm hoping they did Moon Knight right because I really like Moon Knight. It looks dark. It looks like they're going to move this one into their newly formed
Disney MA.
Right, with all the Netflix stuff, The Punisher and Luke Cage. And so that's a good sign to me that it might actually be good, be faithful. And then
it's still the Rat.
Supposedly, come Halloween, one of my other 70s Marvel characters, Werewolf by Night, will be resuscitated. Let's hope that's also MA with blood and guts and gore.
We can only hope.
Jack Russell, otherwise known as Werewolf by Night.
When he's not singing lead for...
Shut up, Dave! Oh, I should have known you were going to do that! No, it is not Jack Russell from Great White, Dave. This is the original Jack Russell.
Who had the terrier?
No, wait. Well, I guess Great White's Jack Russell would have been born before the character, but the character was actually popular before Jack Russell, the Great White lead singer.
Now, do they both have the terriers?
Moving on! We have already covered, of course, our one big moment of silence for the week, Taylor Hawkins. But once again, thoughts and prayers to his family, the Foo Fighters family, fans all around the world. And of course, that leads us into, as always, our big pivot, where we go to Dumbasses of the Week, the Red Foreman Dumbass of the Week Awards. It's time to play Dumbass or Not with the Conquistador.
All right.
I have 5 dumbasses for you, Dave. You tell me if I am correct in labeling them dumbass, or am I being too harsh? Am I being too mean, too cruel? Looking at this list, I think I'm going to go 5-0.
I have just 2 straight up dumbasses, so let's go.
All right, CNN analyst Asha Rangappa. She watched the Oscars. She saw the slap, the Will Smith, Chris Rock slap. You know who she blames? Donald Trump.
What the fuck? Yeah, that makes...
Donald Trump created this atmosphere where Will Smith felt he could go up on stage and slap Chris Rock. It's all Trump's fault, Dave.
True dumbass. Can I give you a follow-up with my first dumbass
Absolutely.
on this?
Go for it.
Howard Stern, when lambasting Will Smith, said, Will Smith and Donald Trump are the same guy. They get away with it because they are who they are.
Same thing.
What the fuck? Come on! How damn stupid are these people?
It's TDS. It is TDS. Trump derangement syndrome. It has been around for the last few years.
These people are stone stupid.
You are not allowed in any way, shape, or form to acknowledge that you think Donald Trump might have actually done something good or something smart.
So if something bad happens, it's his fault.
Right.
Dumbasses, everyone who thinks that way. Next up.
We were just talking about superheroes. Remember Justice League, the movie? Remember The Flash?
Yes.
Well, Ezra Miller is the actor who plays the Flash in the movies. Not, of course, Grant Gustin plays him on TV.
Yeah, Grant Gustin's so much better.
We're going to talk about Ezra Miller here. Ezra got arrested the other night in a bar in Hawaii.
Yes, he did.
He doesn't like karaoke, Dave.
Ezra don't like singing.
Ezra Miller, right around midnight, a couple nights ago. Everybody's singing karaoke at this bar, having a good time. And, of course, Ezra Miller, being the pampered Hollywood star that he is, decides, I don't like you people singing karaoke. Runs up to the stage, grabs a microphone out of this woman's hand. And then, of course, I guess some guy playing darts said something to him like, hey, jackass, why don't you leave her alone? So, of course, he confronted him, arrested for disorderly conduct.
As he should have been. He's lucky he didn't get a dart in the forehead.
Again, entitled, pampered Hollywood star.
Dumbass douchebag.
If you don't want to listen and don't want to play with the commoners, don't
then
go
leave.
and hang out with the commoners.
If you don't like karaoke, leave. Find somewhere else to go.
But of course, the mentality is, no, everybody else should leave. I should be able to be in this place by myself.
I'm an entitled asshole.
That is correct. What was the other dumbass you had?
Tiffany Haddish, going back to the slap, saying she thought it was the most beautiful thing she's ever seen because a black man stood up for his wife.
Okay, did she ask Chris Rock as a black man what he felt?
No, she's just an idiot.
Yeah, she's never struck me as
the elevator don't go all the way up with her.
Yeah, we could probably substitute her for Cardi B in Fast and Furious 10. Oh, going back to the Oscars. Of course, the number one bad boy in Hollywood. He's been this way for 20 years. Sean Penn. Always got to do something to draw attention to himself. And I've never heard anybody follow up on this threat from last week. But Sean Penn said, I will take all my Oscars and melt them down in public if the Academy does not let President Zelensky of Ukraine speak at the Oscars. This guy, and the thing is, every once in a while, he will actually say something that makes sense. Like late last year, he called out somebody for ripping on toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
And he said, no, the problem is you guys just won't let us be men anymore. And I was like, hey,
there you
for
go.
once, Sean Penn might actually understand what's going on in the world. And then he pulls this little spoiled brat.
Stupid.
Hey, you don't get my way. If you don't do what I tell you, if you don't talk to the people I tell you to, I'm going to take my awards and melt them down and go home.
Bye-bye, Sean.
I know he's got to have unbelievable anger issues.
We've known that for how long?
He would be a bitch to fight, but sometimes I would just like to take a swing at him just to see if he's really the tough guy he thinks he is. You know, or is he another guy that plays tough and in real life is just a big pansy? Usually the guys that are tough are the ones that don't have to say anything and don't have to push it and prove it.
They don't beat up on the paparazzi.
Yeah. TurboTax ad. I have to bring up this. I saw this over the weekend while I was watching basketball. Advertising, so I figured it might fit on the weekend edition.
Yeah, that's about right.
This ad originally aired in January in a different form, where the TurboTax voiceover guy is asking this black gentleman, hey, do you know that TurboTax has online services so you can do your taxes? And he's drinking coffee, and he's nodding, and then the guy goes, for free! And the guy turns and spits, right?
Spit take.
Now, have you noticed how they've altered the ad? Originally, it was him spitting into the face of a big, fat, white guy.
No.
Yes, for the first month in January, it was him spitting into the face of a white guy who turns to the camera and goes, gee, I didn't know that. That sounds pretty good. Now they've cut that out because people realize that's fucking racist.
Yeah, that is
it's
racist.
Nasty and racist. So now that part about him spitting into the face of a white guy has been cut out. Finally, last dumbass or not, Disney just came out. You are no longer allowed to greet visitors at any of the parks saying boys and girls because that's not inclusive. So you can't have Mickey saying, hey, boys and girls.
Bullshit. I tell you what, boys and girls, join us next week for another fun-filled episode of Sports Frenzy 2.0, the weekend edition.
Was I 5-0?
You were 5-0.
Yay!